Before we start the show, just a word from our sponsor, Undeniable Press. For all your screen printing needs, located in the Corktown district of Detroit, Michigan. If you ever need any t-shirts or any other little promo accessories, posters, or whatnot printed up for you, go to Undeniable Press. They're located, once again, in the Corktown district of Detroit, Michigan, and you can reach them at facebook.com/undeniablepressdetroit. And those same guys who do Undeniable Press also have a clothing line called 20 by 20 Apparel. It's very much wrestling themed, all sorts of nostalgic themes in regards to the history of wrestling. And you can go check out their clothing line at 20x20apparel.com. That's the number 20x, the number 20apparel.com. Now let's start the show.
Fresh is the word.
I'm Jim Duggan, got long wood for plenty hoes. I keep it fresher than fresh, but you already know. You suckers bummy, I'm money, I got a ton of flows. My weed loud like a motherfucking thunder roll. Your shit quiet like you ballin' on a budget though. We see your kicks and we laugh and yellin' what are those. You see me shining like a suit on puffy. You know my grindin' shit is too strong, buddy. That's why the dude call money. I be stuntin' like it's nothing at all. Cause it's nothing to me, it's probably something to y'all. Trying to smoke like me, then come and fuck with your dog. Got a closet full of kicks, you can't cop it them all. And I'm fresher than the freshest, you can tell it's in my essence. Bitch, you see the way I'm rapping, yes I do this shit to death. Until I'm running out of breath, or tell somebody cut a check. But either way you know it's fresh, and either way you know it's fresh. Fresh, we fresh. Fresh, 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 goddammit, we fresh. Fresh, goddammit, we so damn fresh.
Welcome to the Fresh is the Word podcast about music, pro wrestling, and MMA. I'm your host, K Fresh. Like always, we have a great show for you. But before we get into it, definitely just want to remind you how you can support the podcast. You can always go to freshasthepodcast.com and just share any of the links from the website on your social media. That would be awesome. There's a link at the top that says support the podcast where you can donate via PayPal. There's also a Amazon link on that page that you can use anytime you want to make any Amazon purchases, and they'll shoot back a little commission our way. Doesn't change anything on your end, just helps out the podcast. You can also follow Fresh is the Word on Instagram and Twitter at Fresh is the Word 1. That's Fresh is the Word, then the number 1. And on Facebook at facebook.com/Fresh is the Podcast. Give us a like. Shoot us a message. That would be cool. And then also, Fresh is the Word is available to subscribe on all sorts of platforms on the internet. You can go to Mixcloud, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, all of them. Just search Fresh is the Word and hit the subscribe button or the follow or whatever the term is on each platform. And then you can also leave comments on all those. Go ahead and leave us a comment. 5 stars, whatever. You know, it'll help out the podcast. This week's show, we got a great guest. This is like almost like one of those sort of childhood sort of geek out moments for me. More like a teenage geek out moment for me. This week's guest is the R.O.C, Detroit rapper, original member of the House of Krazees, now on the Magic Ninja Entertainment roster. I've never interviewed this guy before. I've interviewed everybody else pretty much from the Juggalo world, except for the R.O.C. So we kind of just go through his whole career, the ups and downs, why things happened, why the House of Krazees broke up, why that ended, you know, his relationship with Jamie and Paul of Twiztid. Dude, we went through a lot of stuff, man. We talked for a while, and I was super geeked to finally talk with him. He has a new album out. It's called Digital Voodoo. It just came out recently on Magic Ninja Entertainment. It's awesome. Has a lot of great guest features. Definitely should go out and check it out. I'm a little flustered right now because I was so geeked to be able to do this interview. Okay, and then afterwards, and like always, I'm joined with my guest host, Vstylez, for the Fresh is the Word discussion portion of the show. where we're going to talk about what's going on in the world of music and pro wrestling and MMA. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So before we get into that, let's get into the interview with the R.O.C. All right, cool, man. We're here with the R.O.C. And just like for full disclosure, man, I got to tell you, like, I've been following your career since the House of Krazees were in existence. When I was a teenager, I was listening to the House of Krazees. I had all the House of Krazees tapes. I had a couple T-shirts. I had your solo tape exposed. So
Okay.
I've been familiar with you for all that time, man. And like, this is like really cool to be finally talking with you.
Nice. Awesome. Very cool. Thanks. Yeah, very, very cool. Long career for a long time.
Right.
Damn. Long time, dude.
Right. When you look back on those days with the House of Krazees, what pops out in your mind? What were your fondest memories of that time?
I would say probably just me, Jamie, Paul hanging out. I would have to say just us hanging out. It's just everything at that time was just so new, so raw. It was just such a building process. So there was, there at that time really was no. It was just everything was in its infancy. So
yeah.
Just being able to grind, everything being so new to you, your eyes are just so wide open, not being jaded by anything or anything like that. It was just so raw. So I would have to say just, just us hanging out and being in the studio and having that time to grind together. That's probably, back in those HOK days, probably was like my favorite, times.
Right, definitely. You went to Osborne High School, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Went to Osborne High School.
Cool. There was other like Detroit rappers that went to school during that time, right?
Yeah, it was me, Monoxide, and Sean. We went to Osborne. TNT also went there from Nodis.
Yeah.
My cousin Evil, he went there. And I think that was all amongst the ones that I really, really knew. I think that was about it. So yeah. We all went to school together and everything. High school together, stuff like that. So, but of course that was before, of course everybody, we were kind of rapping, but nobody ever had anything, there
Right.
wasn't anything at that time. There was nothing. No R.O.C, HOK, no ESHAM, there was no ICPs, there was none of that at that time. That was just, way, way back when.
Right.
So, yeah.
How do you remember sort of the House of Krazees thing becoming, getting started with you, Jamie and Paul?
Well, it was me and my cousin. Me and my cousin had a group first, and then we were kind of the motivators in our hood. We're the ones who kind of,
Right.
we're getting other people kind of started in music and everything. And so then you had other guys trying to pop up and do it. We're the first ones in our little section of the neighborhood that came out with a cassette tape and things like that. So we kind of got everybody else kind of motivated to do something. And Jamie and Paul were my best friends at the time, even though I rapped with my cousin and we had a group.
Yeah.
Jamie and Paul were my best friends, and me, Jamie, and Paul hung out a ton, but I had a group with my cousin. So they were interested in getting something started, but kind of they didn't have really any real direction. They didn't really have anything. They didn't really have anything. They have no direction, anything. But me and my cousin at that time were kind of getting out of the phase of doing things together and stuff like that. We kind of had a little bit of a falling out, so me and him kind of split and started doing separate things. And at that time, that's when I went to Jamie and Paul and said, hey, you know, we should get a group. Let's us three get a group together. So that's kind of how House of Krazees formed. Don't remember. I think Jamie came up with the name and stuff like that. You know, name the group and stuff like that. Of course, I was the one doing all the music and stuff like that, and it just kind of fit. It just kind of, you know, us three fit, especially because we were friends already too.
Right.
So that helped huge. But yeah, it just fit, man. And yeah, House of Krazees at that time was born. So.
Right. And the album that you talk about doing with your cousin, that's the Rolling with Strength album, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
Eshawn produced that. What were some of your memories about making that album?
That was pretty interesting because, again, for me, that was my really just me getting started. You know, and I listened to that album probably, I would say, some years ago. Listen to it, and you know, you get that stuff, your first stuff, and you're like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And you're like, oh my God, that sucks. But it's great at the same time,
right?
Because it gives you. There is no good without bad, and I tell people that. I know that kind of sucks to say, but you know, that's just kind of the way things go. You know, so everybody starts from somewhere. You know, most guys you may just hear right off the rip being great at the craft. You may hear them that way, but trust me, before that they were no good at the craft. It's just not documented.
Right.
You know what I mean? So for me, mine is documented to where, wow, you really weren't that good at your craft. You know, not that I'm the best at the craft now, but I'm a lot better than what I was back in the Rolling with Strength days. But that was, like I said, it was really cool. It was nice, you know, coming out with a cassette and then Eshawn producing the actual title track, Rolling with Strength, for the album.
Yeah.
For the EP that me and my cousin did. Eshawn produced that song. So we went over to his house and recorded that song for the cassette and everything. But yeah, that was it was really, really, really the beginning. That was the spark for me, you know, getting me started and everything. So yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Right. That was a really cool time. When you kind of think about it, there was like this sort of niche of artists during that time of the early 90s, you know, whether it's, you know, people that were related to like your brother or your cousin, and then you had like the Nautis, the Esham, the ICPs, and kind of all knew each other or kind of worked with each other, grew up, you know, went to school with each other. You know, what was that sort of time like when there was this sort of like this little community of people kind of doing music that was different than everybody else?
Yeah, that was the most interesting part, you know, and I, of course, I can't speak on behalf of all the other artists, but for me, it was every, you know, rap was in one place, going one direction. Rap was doing this. So for me, it was great that we, not just because I'm just doing it because I'm being an asshole. that wasn't the point for me. But we were going in the other direction. You guys are all going to go that way. We're going to go this way. You know, you guys want to go in that way. We're going to go this way. You know, this is the way I want to go because everybody else is going this way. I want to go this way. So that's kind of what I loved about our little subculture at that time. It's not so sub anymore, a lot of people, lot more people know about it now,
right?
But at that time, nobody really knew about it. It was just, again, it was in its infancy. It was so small, and it was just real fun, us just kind of, just grinding and really the world itself not knowing about, our little subculture of music. So it was really, really a fun time back then. And I can honestly say that it was a fun time back then because, like people say, in hindsight, everything, 2020,
right.
Everything is, yeah. Back then, I can't say it was super fun because you really wanted to, I really want to be huge, I wanted to do something, and then it didn't do that, so you were like, fuck, shit, damn, you know what I mean? So you're cursing up a storm at that time,
right.
But now you look back and you're like, oh, I miss those times. Man. I tell you, it was such a good time. It really was such a great time.
During that time, sort of like, it's arguably to say that House of Krazees, along with Isham Minatis and ICP, were sort of like the big three of that sort of corner of the music scene. Like kind of at the top of the House of Krazees popularity around here. Like, how did that feel? What was like sort of your vision of that time when you guys were probably the most popular? I would say around maybe the Season of the Pumpkin Outbreed sort of era. That'd probably be the time you could probably say.
Right. That was it really felt great. It did. It felt great, and we really we really put in the work to try and be sell as many records or more daily. Every time we came out with something, we did things to try and, do better, and do better the next time. Okay, and the next time, do better. But again, we were so young, we just really didn't have any direction.
Right.
We didn't have any direction. There was no management. There was a guy named Walt.
Yeah.
He is the one who invested in us. That's the one that you always hear in the record, Uncle Creepy. That's who we used to, that was kind of AKA Walt, Uncle Creepy. He's the guy who invested in us. And, he really didn't even know business, music business, I should say.
Yeah.
He really didn't know music business. And then actually, he really wasn't that great of a businessman. He had a lot of hangups. He never, ever trusted the music business enough to really get into it. He didn't have the time or anything like that, so he would just give us a couple of dollars. So we kind of had to do things ourselves. So it's kind of a hard, long road when it came to the business aspect. But every time we did, we wanted to do better. And our popularity constantly rose, and it constantly, people started to kind of know us more and more, and it felt good. Felt really, really good. And it was really nice because I truly at that time was really getting recognized for more of, me writing, and also writing the music,
right.
So R.O.C. really became, like, wow, you're pretty good, you're pretty talented, and that's the thing. It was nice. It was so cool. It was just like, all right, it's nice to be recognized and noticed, It's just like, yeah, man, you're doing something right, So. it was good.
Right. Yeah. During that House of Krazees time, was there any sort of time or moment or event that happened that, even though the House of Krazees thing would eventually end, like, was there any sort of moment or event where it's just like, you know what, I might be able to do this music thing for a while, or I might be cool, Jamie might be cool, Paul might be cool, we might all be cool, even if this thing doesn't last forever.
Well, for me, I always felt that way because I was a solo artist before there was a House of Krazees,
Yeah.
before Jamie and Paul even had a rap group. So for me, I always felt like that. I just always felt better in a group setting. That was why there's such a gap between me doing solo projects. Because I care, but I don't care. I'd rather do a group thing. Like, hell yeah, me and Blaze forming Zodiac Imprint, or me and Twiztid House of Krazees, or me, Scraps and Freeze, and my brother Will, YUG doing, level jumpers. I love the group settings.
Right.
I love group settings because I like being in and doing production and then writing and then having other guys vibe with me and write and things like that. So I kind of like that process of it. But I've always felt like I could do it on my own. Like I said, I was an artist before HOK, and I knew I could be an artist after HOK.
Right.
Did I really want to be a solo artist after HOK? Not really. That's why I went from that to Half Breed, with me and Scraps. I did that whole thing. It was just always, like I said, I liked being in the group setting.
Right.
So for me, I kind of knew always I could do a solo thing, continue without the group, so.
Right. I've heard Jamie and Paul's, they've told me stories about the sort of transition from the House of Krazees to what they're doing. What was sort of your take about why the House of Krazees thing ended? And was there any sort of hard feelings towards Jamie and Paul during that time?
Yes. There were super hard feelings towards Jamie and Paul.
Okay.
There were super hard feelings towards Jamie and Paul, not because of the ending of House of Krazees. Who cares?
Yeah.
The friendship was the part that got me. That was the part that got me. I don't care about the group.
Right.
I know people, oh man, but that's everything to us. That's everything to you guys. For me, everything to me was Jamie and Paul. Those are my best friends that I grew up with since I was a little kid. So when that split, our friendship split. So it was just like Brian didn't get to hang out with his best friends for years. That was the part that got me. So, yeah, it was a huge gap for me there. Huge gap for me in that time, that I didn't get to hang out with my two boys, because like I said, the music thing could end for me today, but I'm just happy that I get to still, hey, go to birthday parties, hey, round the barbecue, hey, B, come on through, hang out, hey. It's great that way, you know what I mean? The music part, whatever. Music part, because again, like I told you, I knew I could survive without Jamie and Paul musically.
Right.
I can be a solo artist, not that, not that, and of course, as you see now, they could too. They could do. They're Twiztid now.
Right.
And of course, I could survive without them, and they can survive without me, but it was just the friendship part of it. That's the part that got me the most. As far as all the other group stuff and, Paul and Jamie wanting to kind of go off because I had different aspirations for the group, and then they kind of had different aspirations for the group, and nobody really, okay, well, no. I mean, you could even tell in the music that we're totally different from each other.
Right.
We are. Listen to Twiztid and you listen to R.O.C. Totally different. Not that I think what they're doing is, man, no, that sucks. Or they think, oh, no, the way Brian going, it sucks. No, it's just you get to that point to where you're boom, boom, and all in years you're doing music together. Boom, boom, and you're butting heads. And okay, you know what? That's enough butting heads. Okay, so instead of us breaking musically and doing something separate and still being friends, everything just broke. Music and friendship. And, you know, at that time, you know somebody that long, it kind of almost gets, it's in the, it's kind of almost out of that phase of friendship to where it becomes more, and a lot of people, they use that word lightly nowadays, becomes family.
Right.
You know, so it's almost past the friendship. Like Jamie and Paul, that's like my family. Like it's past friendship. Like we're over 30 years deep being friends. You know, so that gets to being almost family. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of what it was. It was just everybody wanted to do something different. Everybody was their own separate entities, their own separate. Okay. Yeah. So everybody kind of did their own little things and stuff like that. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I encourage that. I think it's healthy. Like, hey, you know, when Jamie did the solo record and Monoxide did the solo record, sometimes it's good to do that. You need that.
Yeah.
You know, because guys have little different ideas and things they would do that somebody else don't want to do. You know, no one should ever take it that personal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Never take it that personal. You know, you shouldn't. You shouldn't take it that personal. It's okay for guys to do, you know, something a little different sometimes. Keeps the flavor, man. Keeps it mixed up, you know. So
when do you think sort of like things within the group were sort of breaking down? Was it during like Outbreed? Was it during head trauma? When do you think it was starting to break down?
No, it never broke down until after we got off the ICP tour.
Okay.
That's when it broke down. After the ICP tour again, it was just everybody just kind of got to that point to where we wanted different things, and it just split. Just wanted different things, and it just split. You know, everybody wanted something different. You know, I wanted something different, and I believe Jamie wanted something different, and Paul wanted something different, but they weren't willing to be different apart. They would rather be different together. So that's what led them to stick together.
Right.
You know, because me, I had, you know, kit equipment, and I was R.O.C. I was already R.O.C. I was R.O.C. before House of Krazees. I was the first one that went on tour with ICP, was R.O.C. It wasn't House of Krazees. It was R.O.C. Twiztid, really, at that time, ICP didn't want a House of Krazees. They wanted R.O.C. So at that time, I was already who I was. I was already R.O.C., you know. So, you know, so for me, they were like, everybody was like, well, shit, he's good. He's doing whatever he's doing. You know, we need to stick together and do what we got to do. So they stuck together and did what they have to do. You know what I mean? So like I said, that's the only crappy part is it just, the friendship didn't stick together. But that makes you a true believer. If it's whatever's meant to be, man, is meant to be. If they were that much of your family or that much of your boys, where are they? They would be here. And where are they? They're here. Where are they?
Right.
They're here.
Right.
Where are they as far as music-wise? Hey, they just signed their boy and put their boy out an album. Put their brother out an album. You know what I mean? So if it's meant to be, it was meant to be. It must have been meant to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at those types of things. You know, so.
That, why do you pinpoint that ICP tour as like that time? Was it like that you guys were going to all these cities and just seeing new things, and it was kind of expanding sort of your ideas and minds?
Yeah. Because that was ICP's first ever big tour. That was their first ever tour like that. That was their first ever tour that we went out on. But like I said, it just kind of wasn't a House of Krazees thing. They didn't want House of Krazees. They wanted R.O.C. So that's why R.O.C. went out on tour. And basically, what I did was convince them to, hey, let my two homies come for hype man purposes. Let them be my hype man, which they weren't, because we ended up doing HOK anyway. Because again, for me, that's how bad I wanted the group to succeed.
Right.
It was never about me. It was never about me. It was never just about them too. It was about the HOK group. That's what it was about. And that's just me. More of a group setting guy. Like I said before, I'm a group setting guy, rather the group than just me being out there in the forefront and, whatever else. I'd rather the group succeed. So yeah, that's what it was. It was ICP's, first, big tour, and I forgot what tour it was, but that was their first big thing. So yeah, we were just out doing the country, running the country, and performing, out performing, for the first time on stages as House of Krazees, so it was cool. It was cool for a bit, but it just got to that point where we were like, you know what? We want better. We want better. We want more. We want better. We need to just do our thing. We need to do our thing ourselves, So then that's when we, kind of like, okay. And then, like I said, it just kind of split, it just kind of split. And that was the end of HOK, the birth of Half Breed, and the birth of Twiztid.
Right.
That was just the birth of those entities, so.
How were you able to sort of mend your friendship or your relationships with Jamie and Paul after, however many years it was?
It's weird because the day that we started talking again, it just, I don't know. The day we started kind of, got back to talking to each other, it just kind of, I don't know. It just kind of fit. It just kind of worked. I don't know. There was no awkwardness. I don't know. It was just almost like shit never skipped a beat. It's almost like it never skipped a beat.
Yeah.
It just kind of worked. It just kind of was like, oh, hey, yeah, and yeah. So see, that's like the sign of, okay, these guys, man, we really have a great friendship, a great thing amongst us. Of course, nobody hangs out with each other like we used to when we were kids. Everybody got wives, families, and kids, and houses, and responsibilities, and all the rest of that stuff. It's totally different. We don't hang out with each other like that no more. So it's huge gaps between the times we get to see each other, things like that. But again, it's just good. It's just good. It's really good to have, have that type of, friendship. Because it's like nowadays, man, people are friends, a couple of years. And then I read on Facebook that, hey, and on Snapchat, he said I was a bitch. And they've been friends for like a year and a half, and all of a sudden they're done. There really are these 30-year friendships no more with how crazy social media is and all that stuff nowadays.
Right.
It's just not any long friendships. So it's special. It's pretty cool, man, to have friends that last, more than a decade. Blaze and Monoxide and Madrox, and us having that long friendship is really, really nice. So
Right.
Great.
Yeah, after the House of Krazees thing ended, you did a House of Krazees album with Scraps, and then you did this house project with a bunch of different artists, and then you would go into the Half Breed, the Level Jumper stuff, Virus Independence, sort of that block of your career. How do when you look back upon it, how do you feel about that time? The sort of after the House of Krazees time period.
Well, for me, it was okay, after Twiztid left, the House of Krazees thing me and Scraps did, you could just shoot me. Because that was dumb. That was just stupid. It really was. It was dumb. It was just like, and honestly, for the reason why it was done, because the guy Walt who was giving us money,
Right.
he said, look, you know, hey, I don't care that those two guys are gone. I don't care. I don't care that those two guys are gone. You know, we're going to do HOK, and that time, I was like, no. They left. They're gone. I don't talk to them no more. We don't do anything. No, we need to come up with something different. He said, no, I won't put any money into anything different. That's what's going to sell. That's what's going to do it for us as House of Krazees. So we kind of went over that, me and Walt, for a little bit, and I made him an offer, and I said, okay, we'll do House of Krazees one more time. After that, we're done.
Right.
We changed the name. Okay. So we did the House of Krazees, me and Scraps Night. They came home. You know, pretty cool record. I have to admit, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's just, it wasn't House of Krazees.
Right.
It just should have never been done. Should have just automatically came out with something different. That's like them leaving and saying, we're going to be House of Krazees. No, they should have been something different.
Right.
Because they weren't House of Krazees without R.O.C. and vice versa. R.O.C. should have did something different because there is no House of Krazees without Tech and Mr. Bones.
Right.
So, you know, it should have been that way. So we did that. Okay, all right, now that's done. We work on something new. Again, I get into it with the investor. Again, no, don't want to do it. At that time, I'm like, okay. So again, we run into this problem. So, okay, what if we chopped off the Krazees and made it just the house? And I got a few other people rapping with me or whatever the case may be. Well, okay. Which, again, was bullshit. Okay. So we're just going to just chop off the end and pretend and spell it different just to pretend it's something different. Shoot me again. It's like, okay, man, it should have been something different from the fucking get-go. We're wasting money.
Right.
We're wasting money. So then we did that. We did the project. And then again, got to the point, okay, no, okay, we need to just do House of Krazees. And then I remember the day he was having a house converted, Walt,
Yeah.
for us into an office/studio. He was converting a house for us.
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking, and me, him, and Scraps were in there. We were talking, and we were kind of, you know, whatever, and, you know, talking and stuff like that. And I remember him just saying, no, we just need to do a House of Krazees thing. And I remember standing there, and I just kind of stared off, and I said, the only way you're going to get away from that is if you do basically what they did. That was just what's in my head. I'm like, I got to walk away. So I said, okay. I didn't even say okay. I just turned, and I walked out, and I left, and I never came back.
Right.
Scraps called me, I think, the next day that night, and was like, hey, what happened? You know, what's going on? He said, you ain't coming back, are you? I said, no. I said, I'm done. He was like, well, me neither. And that's when we formed our virus independent thing and stuff like that. I said, I know it's going to be super hard. We don't have any money, things like that, but, you know, it's going to take us longer to scrape up a couple of dollars to save, you know, but we can do it, and we can just do our own thing, our half-breed thing. So that's when we kind of got into doing the half-breed thing, virus independent. We formed virus and stuff like that, started doing the half-breed thing. And then it went to level jumpers and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, it was really a chaotic time for me. I can't say it was all that fun for me.
Right.
It was very chaotic for me because, again, with no Mr. Bones and Hectic there for me, it was just like I was kind of like this is all weird. This is not right. This is supposed to be House of Krazees.
Right.
You know, all these years is supposed to be House of Krazees. But for so instead of me, you know, really focusing on, be it if I was doing a group or if I was doing a solo thing, instead of me focusing on doing a group or a solo thing, I was just kind of free floating. It was just kind of free floating, you know. There was no focus on one thing. I was just free floating.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna do House of Krazees, me and Scraps. Okay, now we're gonna do House. Okay, Scraps, let's do half breed. All right, we're gonna go to level jumpers, and you know. So it was just kind of more of a free floating thing for me, you know, instead of me focusing and just saying, you know what, I'm just gonna do R.O.C. I'm just gonna push, promote, you know, do the whole R.O.C. thing from here on out. You know, if I do a group, it'll be a little side project, but the main focus is R.O.C. I didn't do that. When there was no group, I just kind of was like, yeah, I might do some production and maybe, and I don't know, I might do a little something solo, maybe. Because I mean, it's like, yeah, whatever. You know, it was just like, well, whatever thing. But it was such a chaotic time doing all those projects for me. Not that I hated it and not that they sucked. It was just a chaotic time mentally for me.
Right,
It was so chaotic mentally, you know.
Yeah, after that, you would you know, start being Blaze's hype man, and then even be on a few of his songs on the Clockwork Gray EP, and then you even had your own EP, Welcome to the Dark Side, on a psychopathic sub label, Hatchet House. Then there was supposed to be a Zodiac Imprint album also, but that never happened. You know, that seems like a little bit of a weird time too. You know, being a part of this psychopathic sub label. What was kind of going on during that time?
Yeah, that yeah. When I was doing Blaze's hype man thing, we thought it would be something, you know, cool. Like, holy shit, you know, like, wait a minute, that's R.O.C, right?
Right.
You know, like R.O.C is Blaze's hype man. That what? The chemistry, huh? That's like oil and water. Those two, they're not nothing the same. You know, we just thought it would be something cool, something different, and then it was cool too because somebody's up there, you know, with Blaze, you know, being the hype man. So we thought it'd be something cool. So that whole thing, you know, went out, and then, you know, me kind of doing a little bit of spot plugs on some of his music and things like that too, incorporated a bit. So we thought that would be neat. And then also rolling off into it being to the point to where, okay, it being a group, you know, like, what? Like, get you a group. Like, again, like water and fucking oil. Like, what? You got a group? Like, okay, well, we don't know what that's going to be like, but hey, okay, you know. But yeah, me doing, you know, the solo project, Welcome to the Dark Side, and, you know, getting to the Zodiac Imprint, possibly us getting into the Zodiac Imprint thing. For me, at that time, when I did Welcome to the Dark Side, and then it got to the point to where, you know, kind of a little before that record, and then, you know, we're going to possibly work on the Zodiac thing, my whole personal life fell apart.
Okay.
You know, wife, kids, everything just crashed. Boom. It was just like, whoa. That's when my life truly, I thought it was chaotic when, you know, there was no R.O.C, Hectic, and Mr. Bones. You know, no Hectic, Mr. Bones, R.O.C. There's no Mr. Bones, Hectic, R.O.C. There's no House of Krazees. I thought it was chaotic then.
Right.
When my personal life fell apart, oh, that was true chaos. That was truly me just staring off into space. I was a zombie.
Right.
I was a zombie. I was a total zombie. I didn't want to do no music. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do anything. my whole existence was falling apart. Everything. You work hard for, everybody's got their reasons. Me, it's my family. I love my family. That's my family. That's my family. That's why I took it again so hard when Jamie and Paul split, not because of the music part. I don't care about that stuff. It's great. It's cool. That's extra shit that we get to do. But our friendship, to me, was bigger than that. It's bigger than the music for me. And I don't mean bigger as far as, I don't care. I would destroy all their stuff. It's like, I can't do that. That's a livelihood. I would never do anything like that. You know what I mean? Nothing to destroy the livelihood, but it's just friendship. So the family, it means a lot. So for me, my whole world flipped upside down. I didn't want to do anything. And for me, I knew there was still music somewhere. There's no way it can materialize. I can't think of anything. There's no future for me. So instead of me saying, hey, I'm taking hiatus from music, I said, I'm retiring. I'm done. I don't want to do nothing. Somebody could ask me, hey, do you want something to eat? Fuck food. I'm retiring from food. I don't want to eat nothing. You could ask me anything. I didn't want to do anything because, again, I was destroyed. So it was that killed a Zodiac imprint. That killed Zodiac imprint when it was supposed to be years and years ago. So that killed Zodiac imprint. That killed anything more on the sub-label, Hatchet House for R.O.C. or anything like that. None of the guys couldn't understand it. Meaning, Violent J.
Yeah.
He couldn't understand. Well, we brought you out here on this tour, the Stark Otis tour, and you're okay. Well, why'd you even come out? He couldn't understand. Blaze couldn't understand. Like, man, we had something going, and now you're quitting. Nobody could understand the pain, the mental shit I was going through at that time. They just didn't get it. Just like, what? You're about to throw all this away. And I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. I didn't care. I wasn't reckless. I didn't go out, I'm going to go on this drinking binge and drugs and nothing like that. That was never my style. I just had to sit and regroup and stay connected to home. No touring, no nothing like that. Stay connected to home to be able to get my shit together, to be able to get ready to go through a divorce and having 50-50 custody of my kids and things like that. So it's like I had to prepare for that mentally. I had to get myself ready for all those things that were about to hit me. So that kind of killed Zodiac and anything like that. That kind of killed all of that. Yeah, eventually, thankful, things got back on track eventually for me. So I started to kind of mess in the studio a little bit here, a little bit there, and kind of a few things and messing with some stuff. And okay, now, the divorce phase is, over, and, things are kind of getting back on track for me.
Right.
And I knew eventually I'd come back to doing, some music again. It's just part of me. It's just what I love doing, Maybe, even like I say, even if I wasn't a rapper, doing the rap thing, doing the hip hop thing, I still would do the music part of it, the musical writing. Yeah. I just love doing music, the music aspect of things, so.
Yeah, after all of that, when did you really feel like you were back? When you felt comfortable to be back into music?
I would probably say, probably a couple of years ago. I would say really comfortable enough to say, okay, I think I'm ready to actually do a record and things like that. I would say a couple of years ago, a few years ago, Twiztid they were getting their label started, Magic Ninja Entertainment, and they're like, yeah, man, we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna do this thing, B. We're gonna do it. And we definitely, want you to put something out, R.O.C. solo, and we want to do something with the Zodiac imprint thing, you and Blaze and things like that, and we gonna do it.
Right.
We really gonna put something together. We're gonna do it. So that right there probably was when I really felt like, okay, now it's time to get prepared in the coming years for me to work on, truly get in the hunt to work on music again, truly get in the zone to where, okay, R.O.C. is attempting to be relevant, from irrelevant to relevant again.
Yeah.
It's time for me to, okay, step out of that, out of that shadow or, out of the kind of the background of things and, R.O.C. to be in the forefront. So I would say a few years ago, it really started to get to that point to where it was getting it for me to be comfortable enough to step into the light of music, to do, the music thing again. So, and again, I love it. I love it. And I love it too because, again, I get to do it with guys who I grew up with.
Right.
Doing it with. So it's nice. It is. It's really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, because with this Magic Ninja Entertainment thing now, it's pretty much like, the old band's back together, Jamie, Monoxide, Blaze, the R.O.C. We're all in the same place at the same time now. How does that feel just to be like able to, everybody's older and wiser now, and you get to do what you love with all your old friends again.
Yeah, and that's the part, like I said, that's awesome because we get to kind of just, again, you get to kind of do it with the guys you grew up with. You do it with the guys, you grew up with, the guys you came up with. And everybody has that mutual respect for one another. And of course, and it does, it helps you too, because, you're not kids no more and anything like that.
Right.
And you can call anybody for help or anything that you need anytime. And it's really cool. And when you look back on that story, from where, we came from to where we are, it's huge. People always say, and you see this a lot, especially with nowadays with the whole psychopathic and M&E thing.
Yeah.
Hey, you wouldn't be shit without, you guys wouldn't be shit without ICP. Twiztid wouldn't be, R.O.C. wouldn't be shit without Twiztid and ICP. I wouldn't be shit without my parents either. That don't make anything do. That doesn't, of course.
Right.
I needed everybody. I needed some of Yisham. I needed some of ICP. I needed some of Twiztid. So what's your point? And so you keep that mutual respect for all of those people.
Yeah.
You do. You keep your mutual respect for all those people. Of course I wouldn't be anything without my homies. Of course I wouldn't be anything without Twiztid. And with my people. That's my family, man. Of course I would. Of course, it wouldn't be as sweet if you didn't have the people to compare, let's say, R.O.C. to. It wouldn't be that dope if you didn't have, well, at least, I think Twiztid's doper than you, R.O.C., because it's great that you have it to compare to. So, of course, I wouldn't be shit without them, or compare it to Twiztid's ICP or ICP to R.O.C. or Isham to Nodis or Nodis to Twiztid. It's great having all those. So, of course, any of us, it's great that all of us are there, and you guys get to compare. So, of course, any of us wouldn't be shit without each other.
Right.
It's great. It's just what it is. It's what our culture of us in our little pod before all these people even knew. It was the great part about it, because it all kind of bounced and fed off each other, even in a competition way. Not that we were all homies and we all hung out nice. We didn't. We did not like each other, but we didn't like each other. It wasn't like we were homies and great and cool. No, it was competition.
Yeah.
There's competition. That's what it is. Rap is competition.
Right.
I want to be better than Twiztid. I want to be better than Blaze and Lex and G-Mo and Gorilla Voltage and Boondocks and AMB and Young Wicked. I want to be better than everybody. You know, of course you do. It's competition. Not that you are, and not that you ever will be better, R.O.C., than all those people that you name. But you don't go around thinking that, you know, man, I suck. You know what I mean? It's just, you don't do that. It's just not a part of it. So, you know, for definitely, you know, we all, you know, kind of have that, you know, yeah, man, it's great us being together. It's just great. It's just our story. You know, it's our story. It's our history. Long 30 years, you know? So it's great, you know, being, like you said, around all the, you know, yeah, to get the camaraderie and, you know, you get to just do what you do with the people you came up with. So it's awesome.
Right.
It's really, really awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a couple more questions, just to wind down this interview. When you kind of, you know, now that you're a part of the Majik Ninja Entertainment, you know, in the fold with that, you know, what's sort of like the, you know, day-to-day operations working with everybody over there? And, you know, how does that compare to, you know, working with everybody you did, you know, back in the day in the House of Krazees days?
Well, for me, it's definitely different. Because back in those days, the focus for me at that time was really music. There was no other focus. Now I'm older. I'm an old man. So now R.O.C. has so many other focuses. The focus is really not just music. Even though, yeah, you know, you still got that fire burning and it's always music. But a lot of it is not that a lot no more. So it's a lot different. The day-to-day process, you know, for me, I try to get in the studio daily. You know, me and Blaze right now working on the new Zodiac imprint, things like that. So, you know, get in, do some writing, things like that, some production, you know, arrangement of some of the tracks and things like that. So I try to get in daily to do a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, daily to do a little bit. But the day-to-day process of things, it's still that grind. You know, it's still that work. It's still that grind. You know, I have, you know, but now it's like, you know, hey, we have our office, we have the, you know, we have the dojo, that studio, and my studio, and I've always called it this for years and years, is 46 Galaxy, so I have my own studio. So me, I do a lot of work at home. It's rare that I go up to the dojo to work. You know, sometimes I'll pop up there to do a little bit of work. But them guys, you know, you pop up there, they got, you know, the office is there, you know, the warehouse is there. They're always working. Every day. They're always working and doing whatever. And, you know, guys are on the phones and computers and shipping orders, and they're always working. You know, they're always grinding and doing something. And me, you know, like I said, I try to get in daily to do something, you know, music-wise, getting to do something music-wise, hone my craft a little bit more, and learning things. Even at this age, I still got a lot to learn, and I still soak it in like a sponge, like I'm a kid.
Yeah.
I just soak it in and I try to learn a lot. But it's that day-to-day grind still. It's that day-to-day grind.
Your first full-length album with Majik Ninja, Digital Voodoo, came out earlier this year. What was sort of your thought process going into making this album when you were figuring out what you wanted to do for it?
The Digital Voodoo for me, what I wanted to do with the album, I kind of wanted to make it it almost sounds, with so many features on it, it almost sounds like a compilation project. That was my thought many years ago when on Psychopathic that I wanted to do for Digital Voodoo. I wanted to kind of make it that, they have some solo songs to feature R.O.C.
Yeah.
But then I got a lot of songs that features a lot of other different artists. That was always my aim for the Digital Voodoo record.
Right.
It was always my aim. And I always liked that. And the reason why I like that, like I got that, for me, I got that from how Dr. Dre's albums were, the Chronics.
Right.
The Chronic album. First Chronic, and then, the 2001 Chronic. It was Dr. Dre presents the Chronic. Yeah. It was him, whatever. But he had like a lot of, dope ass features with Lady of Rage or Das, Corrupt, Snoop, or RBX. Just different people.
Okay.
Always different people. Plugging in, just different people and this collage and hodgepodge of artists coming together to form such a really cool album to just listen to. A really cool album to listen to. And that's was always my vision as well. Like, yeah, man, I want to, I don't mind. Again, that's cool that the focus is on me, but I like the fact that, you get this hodgepodge of artists together and, and you do this record. I think it's great. And that's what I've always wanted to do. So for me, that's kind of what it was. So I kind of, okay, hey, can I get this person? No, this person's busy. No, this person will cost too much money. No, this person don't know you and never responded. Okay, that person, whatever the case may be. So I just kind of was reaching out to just different people.
Yeah. Reaching
out and whoever I could, reach out to and, hey, okay. And, George, the head of Magic Ninja Entertainment, George, said, okay, well, what about this person? And George would even throw some people out there. I'm like, oh, yeah, see about, okay, well, yeah, well, Whitney Payton do something. Okay, that'd be great, George. All right, the Rugged Man, nice. So it just kind of went from there. And then it's, grew, it grew. I'm thankful for all the artists that were, that got in on there with me. And it was just nice sitting in the studio and, listening to, wow, man, I actually have another 11 years later, I'm about to release another album from my last full-length solo, which was in 2006. And I'm about to actually release another full-length solo album.
Right.
And then hearing all the different artists on there, like I say, Whitney, Red, R.A. the Rugged Man on Sleeper Cell, and Lex the Hexmaster, Chimo Ski, and oh my God, it was just like, this is awesome. This is awesome, man. This is really cool. Just that, putting together this record. It was really, really cool sitting and tuning vocals and listening to all these different voices and their different stories that they have to say over the music, and then me being able to do some of the production and then having, other producers, Dead Beats and Seven, those guys stepping in, with some tracks and me getting some tracks from them and putting my story over their story, their musical stories. So, and that's kind of what I liked about Digital Voodoo. It's just one of those albums, man. It's just everybody. I love the, different voices and different takes on where these people are going with their story. Trick and Conniva and all these people. It's just it's a very, I always call it an eclectic piece, because it's kind of, it's no theme. It's just kind of all over it's digital. And then some of those songs are just like, oh my God, puts that spell on you, that voodoo spell. So that's why that was always my thought of Digital Voodoo. It was always that thought process, Digital Voodoo. It wasn't supposed to be a themed album or anything like that, or it was just always digital. Everything was in that digital, with CDs way back then. Of course, at that time, when I thought of the title and all of that, there really was no huge, gigantic social media, thing or all these titles and crazy Apple Musics, and there wasn't a ton of that stuff going on. There wasn't anything really going on like that, and Spotify's and all this stuff. There was none of that stuff, But that was always my thought process for it, and I love the way that it came out. I love the way it came out, and then I'm gonna try not to have another 10-year gap to when I'm like 80 years old to come out with another solo album. So after the Zodiac thing, I don't know what my plans will be, but I may start to kind of dabble around with something solo, again. So I'll be ready next time for another solo, not 10 years from now. So.
Right. No, I'm glad you're back in the fold, man. And I think Digital Voodoo is actually one of the greatest things that you've ever done in your career. I really enjoyed the album.
Thank you. I say that too. I tell people that, people always say, oh yeah, this album is the best I ever did. Next album. This album is the best I ever did. Next album. Because that's cliche. That's what you're supposed to do, because you're growing. But for me, it is the best fucking thing I've ever done. And I try to look at it from an outside view. So if I was looking at R.O.C. and, I was kind of looking at, he had fucking huge gaps in his career, and this, this, and where he really didn't put out much, he really didn't do much. But this album, he did all right on. This is a pretty fucking cool record, dude. And that's kind of how I look at it. I try to look at it from an outsider's view. And for me, it's a pretty fucking cool record. I was very happy with it. I was very proud of it. And I have a lot of people tell me that. And I love the fact that man, I've heard your other shit. It's cool, but this is the best shit you've ever done. And it's like, thank you. I appreciate that. And it is. It's the best stuff I've ever put out. I'm like, this is cool. So I'm definitely itching to do something else new. New album eventually, to push even further, so.
Right. So, what's next for the R.O.C? I know you said you're working on the Imprint album, but what's next for you?
Yes, doing the right now we're just, for me, working on Zodiac Imprint. That's it. Working on Zodiac Imprint, and then when I'm not doing the Zodiac thing, just kind of again trying to put together some beats and stuff like that, put together some music, and trying to hone my craft a little bit. So working on that and Zodiac thing, and then eventually try and get some tracks together for another possible solo project or for any, other production that I may be doing for other people and things like that. It's just going to be one of those things that I'm going to constantly be on top of. It's just production aspect of things. Just trying to do production through production. So that's kind of huge for me right now, That's kind of huge for me right now. So yeah, just steady grinding. Hopefully soon, getting ready to shoot another video for the album. Not quite sure really what I want to do right this second, but shoot another video. Not sure what song I want to do yet, but jump back in, get into the video process of shooting another video for Digital Voodoo, and that's it, man. Just stay grinding.
That's what's up. Well, thanks for taking the time out to do this interview. I've, like I said before, man, I've been a fan of yours, your whole career. Probably been listening to you for 22 years now, so it's been great to finally chat with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for, doing the interview. I truly appreciate it. It's nice to be back in the fold again. It's nice to be back, alive again, and people know that, hey, okay, so you're doing music again. Absolutely. So it's nice, to be back in the fray of things. It's nice to be back in the fray. So
definitely.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And if anybody wants to, check out your music or anything, get more information about anything, where can they find you online?
Yes. You can find me at my website is IamTheROC.com. And then you can find all the links to all my social media stuff, my Instagram, my Twitter handle, all that stuff is IamTheROC. So all those, those things I just named and different things like that. So you'll be able to find me on all my social media, Facebook, things like that. Also, you can run to the Magic Ninja Entertainment website, and you can find me there. Things like that, all of my products, things like that. You can pick up everything at twistedshop.com. So you can get everything, all your R.O.C fixes there. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. All right, man. Have a good day, man. Thanks again for chatting with me.
Hey. All right. Thanks. You too. Later.
All right, later. So that was my interview with the R.O.C. Go pick up his new album, Digital Voodoo, via Magic Ninja Entertainment. It's dope. It is. Very dope. And now to the Fresh is the Word discussion portion of the show. And like always, I'm joined with my co-host, MMA and pro wrestling connoisseur, Detroit hip-hop artist, and proud Marine, Vstylez. What up, though?
Hey, what up, dog? What's good, Kelly? You all right?
Man, I'm good. We're just getting over the 4th of July weekend. There's still fireworks or maybe gunshots still going off right now. It's the 5th of July, 10 o'clock while we're recording this. Who's these idiots still doing that?
That's called living in the city of Detroit.
I know. It's really not a shocker. Whatever. Yeah.
No, not at all, man.
It's not a shocker. Whatever.
There are things that you should never get used to, and we are special people. We say shit like, "Oh no, there ain't nothing but gunshots." Who says that? Right.
Oh shoot. Okay. To start things off. In the world of hip-hop, the big talk has been, the release of the new Jay-Z album, 444.
Yes.
And, every time a big sort of hip-hop album comes out, everybody gets to be so extra about it and just...
Oh, man. Instead of enjoying it for what it's worth, everybody want to be trying to find secret codes and what does this mean and... He meant this by saying this, and
right.
Oh man, it's just like, why you want to overdo it instead of just enjoying it for what it's worth? I mean,
right.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. And to see the memes out there, since Jay-Z said, now y'all wanna, and it's like, wow, really? You know what I'm saying? What is that shit all about, man? Motherfuckers need to grow up, and that's exactly what the fuck he's talking about on this album.
Right.
Motherfuckers growing the fuck. They doing the exact opposite of what he's saying. Now, here it is. He ain't called nobody out except for, he said a few names, but I think he, in general, when he made the comment about take the money from your ear, that's just some immature shit. Like, and that shit is whack. And motherfuckers that really got bread don't do that shit. You know, Pablo was getting $60 million a day. You never seen him ever with a picture of money in his hand.
Nah, man.
You know, but somehow, but somehow these dudes out here, they get all offended and they get moist and, you know, they want to, he ain't running that no. Yeah, I seen some with Lil Boozy. I'm sitting up there like, are you kidding, dog? Like, don't get me wrong, man. I know your story. We all know your story. You know, you the nigga that my nigga King Mo listened to. You know, they was excited when you got out of jail. Well, I thought you've grown up a little bit. That comment alone and to say stuff like that's a way they out of thing. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me, man? You know, you supposed to be setting an example. Then you know, I seen these other black youngster, whoever, you know, they putting money. I'm like, are y'all some idiots? Y'all some really stupid idiots. And then Future come out and, you know, his feelings is, you know, he panties all in a bunch over crazy shit. And it's like, damn, well, he didn't diss you. He what he said was, you know, he couldn't imagine to see another nigga playing football with his son. That's what he's saying. To me, it ain't no diss to Future, but, you know, it's like you got feelings. Now, there were direct lines at Kanye.
Right.
You know, and we can pretty much figure that out. But I look at that Future line as more of a, you know, it's just a metaphor. It just fits what he was saying, you know, and I don't know, man, but basically, motherfuckers need to grow the fuck up, man. If you mad at this dude for telling you to take your drug money and buy your neighborhood up to help to wash your shit, you know, and again, I don't live no life like that, but he's telling you how to do good by it. I mean, there's really no good way of doing genocidal things, but if you want to, you know, take it and do something good with it, okay. You know, it doesn't stop what you've done, but okay, at least you're trying to maybe correct the situation in your own way. And I just don't understand, like, maturity, man. It's always the people. It's like, man, you a fucking bum. Shut up. Nobody, he's not even, you know, and I looked at it. I mean, I listened to it, and, you know, I'm not even a J dude. I'm a Nas guy, man. And this is by far one of my favorite albums. Maybe it's because I'm grown.
And
I don't know. Maybe
that's the thing. You bring up Nas, and the thing is with the whole dialogue with this new Jay-Z album is that so many people, especially like the music media, whether they're just trying to make up stuff for writing purposes or they have generally just been ignoring it, they're acting like this is the first grown-up album in hip-hop when it's not.
Oh my God, dude, that is dude.
Dude.
You talking about, and you can go back, look, I can name grown-up albums to me when we were coming up.
Right.
And they still, it's Pete Rock and C.O. Smooth, first two albums.
All of Pete Rock, Pete Rock and C.O. Smooth was grown-up music, period, point blank.
How do you not realize that that's, and yeah, and that bothers me too. Like, okay, now that does bug me a bit. It's like, you know, okay, now we finally talking about, you know, I seen an article today, and I reposted it about hip-hop shouldn't have no age limit. How long we been talking about that shit?
We've been talking about that forever.
Now, since Jay is the oldest hip-hop artist of all time to go platinum this quick,
now people want to have this discussion?
Say again?
Now people want to have this discussion about age and whatnot. Man, you know, we've been saying this forever. How rock music doesn't have to, you don't have to adhere
to the same rules that we do.
Right. We've been saying this forever, and now 2017, Jay-Z puts out an album, and now people want to have this discussion when people have been putting out Dude, Nas has been putting out grown-ass albums for a long time.
And I hate to even give myself props on this, but if you go back and you listen to Jim Brown, in the hook, Bumpy says, grown man rap, still in the streets. Closed hand slaps, feeling the beats of Jim Brown. And so we've been doing grown man music a long time. KRS-One to me does grown man music.
Dude. What was so young in whatever young means about KRS-One? He was always grown. That was grown music, man.
Grown Chuck D, Public Enemy. That was grown man rap. If
Chuck D was a grown man when he started rapping. he was never
I got a letter from the government the other day. All that type grown man fight the power.
All that is
grown man music.
That's not young. That's grown music, man. Grown up stuff, man. And that was one of the dialogues in this new Jay-Z, around this new Jay-Z album that was really bothering me. I'm like, okay. When it comes to the Jay-Z album, this isn't like an album for the club. It was very conversational. It was very
smart type of album.
It was a smart type. It was a very intelligent, smart type of album. It wasn't full of 808s and stuff like that. The production was more soulful. No ID did all the production, which was cool that he's in this position to do something like that. But
wait. Let's give props to my man Dion from Chicago. My man No ID.
Dude.
Now, if you know anything about No ID, I was introduced to No ID on Common's first album, Can I Borrow a Dollar? And that's still one of my favorite, you talking about favorite albums, man. Sold by the Pound remix. 2 Scoops. Take It Easy. I'm talking about No ID did some records, man, and to see him.
I still have No ID's album from back in. I'm looking at it right now on vinyl.
That shit was so. It came on Relativity. That shit was so underrated.
And it was
called. Shit on there was.
It was called. The album was called "Accept Your Own and Be Yourself."
And be yourself.
Look, that's grown as hell.
Look, I can't think of the fucking name of the record on there, but it's a record on there that I'm like, wow, that shit is just dope. No ID been cold a long time. So congrats to him on his success and his new, I think he got a gig at Capitol or something like that.
Yeah.
But congrats to him on finally getting the love that, he deserves, man. When you listen to Kanye, you hear a little No ID. Every producer from Chicago, you hear a little No ID in them. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
I'm happy for that dude, man. But yeah, they made a great balanced project. Like you said, wasn't no move something on there, wasn't no dance and shit, but it's my type of album, man. I need shit that when I'm driving, I'll be like, wait a minute, what did he say? Let me rewind that.
Right.
When you got rewindable stuff, and like I said, I'm not even a Jay dude. I'm a Nas fan, but I recognize it enough to where, he's 47 years old, and I mean, you talking about Reasonable Doubt,
right?
The Volume 2, Blueprint, the Black Album. This album ranks somewhere in there with those albums.
You know what? You know what I liked about Jay-Z on this album? It was he was being lyrical, but not like super lyrical in a.
He wasn't over the top.
Over the top. He wanted everybody to hear the actual words that he was saying. He was being very conversational and direct. Yep. It was like he was talking to us instead of trying to be rappity rap, MC, whatever, He did that on other albums, This one he was being very.
But he was consistent. He was consistent throughout the whole. It was cohesive. It all. different, but it was it all was the same, way in a sense. So yeah, man, I don't get why people mad, man. It's like, are y'all dumb? Like, y'all dumb. Y'all mad at this dude. The memes I seen out there is just like, wow, y'all stupid. Y'all, like, we got like a lot of stupid followers, bro.
I mean, they probably wanted a ton of 808s on that album. I mean, then they would be happy with that. 808s.
Mm-mm.
808s, man. 808s.
So you silly. Somewhere Kanye in the car crying.
No, okay. No, another thing was like earlier today, I was kind of going through like the new releases section on Spotify for hip hop, and it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like all this stuff sounded the same. Either guys were rapping in a certain way, or they're doing that like auto tuney, singy stuff, and even like Young Thug, he was singing on his new album, and he sounds like a sick cow. And it's really weird, like how like all these songs and stuff like that, they have all the same basics. I'm like, how do people just want to listen to this shit over and over again, hear the same thing over from all these people?
It's just bad, man. It's horrible.
I wouldn't even be mad from a lyrical standpoint from a lot of these guys, as if like from a production level, from the musical level, if there was like more diversity and everything. But literally everything's the same thing, same 808, same like rolling hi-hats and shit like that, same bass hits, and I'm just like, dude, this is like every fucking song, man, is like the same shit, dog. I'm like, y'all really getting nuts about that?
All fucking bad, man.
But no, I did. Okay, I'm gonna fess up about this. I've been really sleeping on this dude, man, and I've been he's been around for a while, and he put out a really dope album this year, and that is Grand Rapids' own Willie the Kid. And I know you did a track with him, man. He was on one of your tracks.
Yeah.
Dog.
You know what? I'm gonna have to listen to that, man. I fucks with Willie, man. Shout out to Willie the Kid, man.
Dude, he came out. He has his album.
Grand Rapids down.
Yeah, his album came out a few months ago called Deutschmarks. Man, okay. This shit's only like 10 tracks. It clocks in at like 27 minutes, so it's very considerate of my time, and it's really dope. And I'm just like, holy crap, this is incredible. I really enjoy it, man. It's like everything that I like about hip hop, and I was just like, and it's none of that other crap that I was hearing from the rest of these cats. And I even went back a couple years back to 2015 and listened to his album that he did with Alchemist, and that shit was cold, man. Shit, like I've been sleeping on this dude, man, and I'm awake now. I'm a Willie the Kid fan, Grand Rapids Zone, hell yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He a cool dude too, man, and it's crazy, man. Being in Michigan, people assume that you know everybody, and I met him through Moss when we were working on Moss's project, man. And he's a cool dude, man. I fucks with Willie. I was a fan before, I knew him, and I'm even more of a bigger fan, having, some work with him. So, yeah, shouts to him. I'm definitely going to check that project out, man. I'm going to support that. And, see what that shit is all about, man. I'm motivated by a lot of the things that I've seen lately when it comes to this music thing. As an artist, man, you like, man, sometimes you just, I'm tired of doing this, man, but for those that really love it, even if you're tired, you sometimes you need to find motivation, and I've been motivated lately by the stuff like the new Jay-Z project, and just hearing some real shit, man, and it's never too late. I'm an OG, and my new album is pretty dope, and I can't, shit like this has made it easier for me to present my shit, and I'm gonna present it in a real dope way, man. So yeah, hip hop's not dead, man. You just don't know where to find it. You know, try searching, try getting off the radio and digging for it. You always got to dig in the crates for it.
Man, definitely got to dig these days, man. But it's out there. There's good
Indeed.
stuff. There's good stuff out there. All right, switching topics to something that I mentioned to you this past weekend. I was like, we got to talk about it because I saw the sort of backlash in regards to it, and you had something different to say about it. It was in regards to the Manny Pacquiao.
But go ahead, I'm gonna let you finish. But did you go back and reread my statements after that?
No, I didn't. So you're gonna have to like explain everything because I saw your one statement in regards to the Manny Pacquiao fight this past weekend. He loses this fight to this guy that I saw all the Facebook messages and the tweets before the fight, and everybody's like, who is this guy he's going against? I've never heard of this guy. And then later on, he's like, this guy beat Manny Pacquiao, and we think it's a travesty. And they're saying there's corruption, and people are getting heated over it. And I'm like, oh, look, boxing's being boxing again. And there's been so much good boxing lately, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Okay.
You know, so
I'm gonna break this shit down.
all right, break it down. Yeah. Like, what's going on with this, man? What is going on with this fight?
I'm gonna break it down so it can't be to where it don't need to be broke no more. So listen, okay, the first 8 rounds, I literally had to fight even. It could have went either way. You know, and it wasn't necessarily like people like, well, Pac-Man threw a zillion more punches than this dude. And okay, let me explain something to the audience out here. Rounds are not won on how many punches or how many strikes or how many things you landed. Rounds are, there is, but they don't use punch stats. You win rounds based on the cleaner punches and the output. And, sometimes, people look at the aggressive nature. If you're the aggressive fighter, they look at that to see that, you're controlling the round. It's a lot of things that they look at. Sometimes punch stat can give a false assurance to people who really don't get it. And you don't win by how many punches you throw. Or land, you win according to if you won that round or not, man. So throwing that out the window, I think the 8th round, I think 1 through 8 was even. I fell asleep during the 8th. I fell asleep after the 8th round. So when I woke up in the morning, I seen Pac-Man lost the fight. In my mind, I'm only going off 1 through 8. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, he lost the fight because he lost the fight.
Right.
I judge it based off 1 through 8. After I revisited 9 through 12, Pac-Man got robbed. And I came back and I changed, my statement on Twitter. I said I stand corrected. Pac-Man did get robbed, and he almost knocked dude out in the 9th round.
Okay.
The referee came to my man's corner and was like, look, you got to do something. I'm going to have to stop the fight. I didn't see anything he did. He hung in there, showed great heart, but I don't see anything he did after the 8th round that could have won him that fight.
Okay.
So Pac-Man did win that fight, in my opinion, after. And, again, I'm not even a Pac-Man dude. I always got to say this shit. I'm not, I remember the Pac-Man before he blew up, again, he was also, this in my opinion, not to shit on him, but I always felt like that when he started moving up in weight and knocking dudes out that was naturally bigger than him, always felt like performance enhancing was, somewhat involved. And then with the fight getting closer and closer with Mayweather, when Floyd started talking about it, it takes a minute to flush all of that shit out of your system, man.
Yeah.
Pac-Man has not looked like Pac-Man since come to the forefront in boxing.
Right.
We can't really remember the last knockout he had. Pac-Man don't look like the Pac-Man that was just destroying people. He looks like, like he's lost a step or two. And again, he's never tested positive, but, I know dudes that do that crazy stuff and they don't test positive, so it's like, wow, it's just really crazy that he don't look like the same fighter. But in saying that negative shit, he still didn't lose that fight. He looked like Pac-Man in that ninth round. He looked like the Pac-Man that was, I'm like, damn, when is he going to turn into Pac-Man? When is he going to flick that switch? He flicked the switch in the ninth round.
Right.
And I was like, ooh, he beat the brakes off him. It's just no way old boy won that fight, man. And for him to want to call out Floyd Mayweather afterward, I'm like, man, sit your dumb ass down. Talking about you want to. I'm like, dog, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Are you really? You gotta be a fucking clown to, like, really? Is this what we doing? You doing this? You're not doing this, son. You're not doing it. And sure enough, he was like, either you want that gloves or you want that cane. I'm like, dude, you didn't even beat Pac-Man, but yeah, you go call this dude. Oh, man, shame on you. Shame on you. Yep.
Okay, but in 2017, where, boxing's having a good year with fights, how does shit like this still happen?
Some people looked at that as a hometown rivalry. Some people, that fight, to be honest with you, like I said, through the first 8 rounds, it's pretty hard to score. So, it really depends on how they're scoring the fight and what they're looking at.
Right.
And I couldn't tell you what they're looking at, but it feels like corruption, because a blind man could see that he wasn't winning that fight after certain rounds. After the 9th round, it was like, no fucking way is he winning this fight. And again, I don't even rock with Pac-Man like that, but I don't feel like he lost that fight. So, yeah, it's sad. Hopefully Pac-Man gets another shot at him, and they redo that, and he'll right that wrong. But yeah, he definitely, in my opinion, didn't lose that fight. I think it was more so, whether you want to say corruption or whatever the fuck's going on, man. But yeah, he definitely got robbed, in my opinion.
Yeah, two of the judges scored it, 115 to 113. I guess that could be, depending on how they did those first 8 rounds, that's possible.
I wouldn't mind that. And that's kind of how you got to look at it, because it was close. But I just don't see how you give him anything past the 9th round or past the 8th round.
And that's the thing. The other judge, who scored it 117 to 111, gave the 8th and 9th round to Pacquiao, but then gave the 10th, 11th, and 12th round to Horn.
Nah, I don't see it. I think the momentum completely changed, and the kid just was happy he still was standing. And I think Pac-Man landed the cleaner punches 9 through 12 and got the short end of the stick.
Crazy.
I just, my opinion, and again, I don't even rock with Pac-Man like that, because I think he's a cheater, even though I can't prove it. But he didn't lose that fight. It was definitely taken away from him. And hopefully he gets a chance to, redeem himself, man, or, right that wrong. Because he definitely won that fight, in my opinion.
Crazy, man. Crazy. All right, man. Going
Yep.
to the world of professional wrestling, this weekend coming up is the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, headlined by the Universal title match between Brock Lesnar and our boy Samoa Joe. I'm pretty geeked for this, man. Like their little split screen segment on Monday was kind of cool, man. I'm ready. I like Joe's intensity about shit.
I'm about to be mad at the WWE.
Man,
I'm gonna tell you why.
why?
They doing everything right by Samoa Joe, except when it comes to this pay-per-view on Sunday, he's not gonna win this title. If he does win this title, I'm gonna be super happy. I might break dance, and I haven't break dance. I haven't done a windmill in a long time. Yeah, Lando still got b-boy skills.
Yeah.
But
Word up.
right. I just don't know if they go do right by Samoa Joe, man. And for us hardcore fans, man, who know, those in the know, we want to see Samoa Joe win. And I just don't think that they're going to allow it because they're already planning Brock Lesnar's next feud. So I love the intensity. I love everything they're doing. Let's hope that, hypothetically, Joe don't win, that his performance makes them put him in a triple threat match in SummerSlam against Braun Strowman or Roman Reigns, or however the fuck that shit's gonna go, man. But I'm tired of seeing the same thing, man. And I wouldn't mind seeing the belt on Braun Strowman. He reminds me of a Mortal Kombat character.
Man, I love Braun
I'm
Strowman.
not finished with you. Get over here. I like that shit.
Braun Strowman is so good, man. I just love everything, man, with Braun Strowman. He just comes out of nowhere and it's
Yeah,
it's always good.
I fucks with Braun.
Oh, yeah. Give him the Universal title, man. I wouldn't mind that one bit. Dude, did you
I think fans will get behind that dude.
Oh, dude, they totally love Braun Strowman, man. And if he was the Universal Champion, a lot of people would be totally happy with that, including me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to see Samoa Joe with it too, man. Give Samoa Joe, give him a belt, man.
That's how I look at it.
Man, Samoa Joe has been through so much, being part of the whole TNA thing for years and Ring of Honor, and he's been everywhere, and he's finally on the main roster in WWE, and he's one of the most liked characters in WWE right now. Everybody loves he's one of the heels that you love, man. So it's give him the strap, dude. I wouldn't. Samoa Joe, Universal Champion, I'll be cool with that.
Word. Real.
Yo, did you see that match from this weekend at Impact Wrestling Slammiversary that involved Scott Steiner?
Yeah, I kind of you talking about with the announcers, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see the ending, but I seen a little bit of Matthews, and what was up with that,
dude? They've been it all kind of started a while back where Jeremy Borash was a part of the whole Hardy Boy angle and stuff, and helped with all that creatively. But it was Jeremy Borash and whatever Matthews, them two started having a feud within Impact Wrestling, and it's kind of funny because everybody hates Josh Matthews as an announcer. He's so annoying. Nobody likes him as an announcer in all of wrestling. And they were having this feud on everything. And I haven't really been following weekly what's going on, but somehow somehow Abyss got a part of it, and then somehow Scott Steiner got a part of this whole thing. But this like match was so hilarious because Scott Steiner was just calling everybody fat asses the whole time. Like,
Oh, that's what he was doing?
yeah, the whole time. No, because they somehow like, because they filmed part of it beforehand when they left their arena, and they got into this golf cart and started and followed Borash and Abyss to this pool. But Abyss wasn't Abyss; he was whatever his real name was, and and then Scott Steiner and Josh Matthews like followed them in his golf cart. But the whole time, like Scott Steiner's just calling them fat asses. Like he called like them fat asses probably about 25 times. Like get over here, you fat asses, blah blah blah. It was so hilarious. And then, do you remember James Vandenberg from WCW?
Yeah.
Well, in Impact, his name was like Father John something, whatever. But he came back a part of this segment and brought back the Abyss mask and his stuff, and Abyss returned as Abyss for the and it was just weird, man. It was absurdity, but it was absurdity at its finest. I really enjoyed it, and actually that whole like Impact, like, well, it's Global Force Wrestling Impact Slammiversary. Like that whole like sort of pay-per-view was actually quite enjoyable. Like it was, but that segment was actually like like wrestling absurdity at its finest. And what was also dope about it was the media stuff that Scott Steiner was doing beforehand was just as absurd. Like he had this whole like conference call with a bunch of people from different media outlets and stuff, wrestling websites and stuff, and they gave him all a list of topics that he would talk about, and like a couple of the topics were like freaks around the world and and like waffle houses and shit like that. So someone asked him about the freaks around the world, and he said that back in like 1998-99 that he slept with 15,000 women in 1 year.
I read that shit somewhere, man. I'm like, man, for real?
That would mean 41 women a day. 41 women a day on average. That would be.
I mean, I fucked with Scott Steiner, but and he rocks them that beige and blue, and
right.
You know, I rocks with him to the 10th power and all that. But come on, son, come on, man.
No, he's so absurd. No, he like his absurdity during this whole thing was actually the funny thing with Scott Steiner is if you as a wrestling,
how was he even involved in this match? That's what's tripping me. Like, damn, well, how did that happen?
I haven't been watching Impact weekly on a weekly basis to know how that happened, but they brought him back into the fold, you know, months ago, and everybody's like, why is Scott Steiner in Impact Wrestling? Whose idea was to hire him? And the funny thing is, with a guy like Scott Steiner, if you as a wrestling organization can sort of contain his craziness, it's actually really enjoyable. Like, if you can get him to actually, if you can keep him in some sort of boundaries of his insanity.
I fucks with Scott. I fucks with the big bad booty daddy. But I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm a Scott Steiner fan, so to see him now as compared to when we were seeing him in his prime, it hurts a little bit, man, because you want to remember your guy as that, like, that's your guy. You want to remember the big bad booty daddy as he was and nothing else. And this is,
but
you know, this not the same dude that, you know, he's just a different dude now, man. And
I think with all this though, is that Impact is trying to like hit goal, have another strike of lightning, just like the Hardy Boys thing with the Broken Matt Hardy thing, like do like something else absurd. And to be honest with you, I think with Impact, if this is like my 3-tier system of how Impact can continue to be unique. If they keep the main stuff absurd to a certain extent, if they keep the X Division stuff competitive, and if they keep the women, the knockouts, also competitive, but push the boundaries on what women in the industry can do. I mean, doing stuff that WWE won't do with the women. Then I think Impact can be a really unique product. It's just sometimes they try to like do serious things with the wrong people and then do absurd things with the wrong people. If they can just get the right people to do the absurd things and then the right people to do the serious competitive things, then I think like Impact can be a really unique product. I think, for the longest time I always felt like their X Division was straight, and it still is. They still have good X Division guys. Right now, Low Key and Low Key, I believe, is the champion. I think he just won the belt from what's his name? Sanjay Dutt. And I'm glad Sanjay Dutt is part of it all. And then Impact Impact TNA was always good, more or less, with the women. The women always kind of pushed the boundaries more than what they were doing. While WWE was still doing a lot of the TNA tits and ass type shit, not so long ago. Impact was actually having very competitive and very interesting gimmicks.
I agree
With their women.
Agree with that.
For a long time. And one of their top stars who was Gail Kim, she just announced that after this year she's going to be retiring from wrestling. And she's someone who had she had a run in WWE, but it wasn't like they didn't know how to use her and everything. But she went over to TNA and was actually one of the best talents that they ever had, and was able to do something good with her. And I think even her later years, these past couple years, have been the best run of her career. And she's almost like epitome of what they've been able to do with the women's division over there. And right now they have a really cool women's division that's kind of centered around, there's 4 wrestlers that's kind of centered around right now. And it's Allie, Rosemary, Laurel Van Ness, and Sienna. And it's really, Laurel Van Ness is, okay, just as like a recap of the past 6 months, before Mike and Maria Kanellis, who are now in WWE, they were in TNA, and Maria had this whole thing where she cooked up a wedding for Laurel Van Ness and Braxton Sutter, which was eventually interrupted when Braxton Sutter was like, "No, I'm not marrying you," because he's in love with Allie. And I love Allie. She's an awesome person. She was on the Indies for a while as Cherry Bomb. I think that's her name. That was her name on the Indies. But she's an awesome. Her gimmick and her personality is awesome. But when this wedding went awry, like every wrestling wedding mostly goes awry, Laurel Van Ness's character turned into this hot mess where she's drinking champagne all the time, where her makeup is always running because she's crying, and she does nothing but wrestle in her wedding dress still. And it's one of the most on-point gimmicks I've seen of absurdity and craziness, but that is also really well done in a while. So I really enjoy the Knockouts women division right now in Impact Wrestling, and I think it's just going to continue to go on. And Laurel Van Ness, whose real name is Chelsea Green, and I think she's dating Zack Ryder right now.
Okay.
She's only been a wrestler for a few years, and like she said, like on Twitter, a year ago this time she was at Impact Wrestling as a fan, watching it from the audience, and now she's like one of the main characters in the women's division. and she's been able to own this hot mess of a scorned bride gimmick like so well. And I'm like, I have my hats off to her. She's like quickly become one of my favorites in just women's wrestling, period.
That's dope. It is going to show you when you want something hard enough, man. There's no limit that you will go to get it. So, salute to her on that. And yeah, that's real shit, man. Real shit.
Hell yeah. Okay, this weekend in the world of MMA is International Fight Week. So there's a couple UFC events going on, bunch of fights. But some of the stuff that kind of, sticks out is we see the UFC debut of Justin Gaethje. He was one of the main champions over at the World Series of Fighting. He's going against Michael Johnson this Friday. It'll be the Ultimate Fighter finale. Justin Gaethje, he just basically like, put anybody in front of me, I will kill them. I will send them to the morgue. He's ready to kill somebody, What do you think is gonna? Do you have any thoughts about this fight coming up?
Well, I know Justin was a World Series of Fighting champion.
Yeah.
But he has a tough task ahead of him. Michael Johnson is not a joke.
Right.
He's the type of fighter. I've watched him since I've, learned about him, through the UFC, back when he was on, what do they call it? What's the UFC's House show?
The Ultimate Fighter?
The Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
So that's why I came up on Michael Johnson, and I watched him grow as a fighter. Isn't he the last man to beat Tony Ferguson?
I think so.
Yeah, and he's the last dude to beat Tony Ferguson, and Tony Ferguson is a monster. So, and that Tony Ferguson is from Michigan, so you expect that. But
yeah, it is. Yeah, that was the last. Yeah, that was the last person to beat Tony Ferguson back in May of 2002 or 2012.
Yeah, and that's when I knew Michael Johnson. He has all the tools because he's lost some fights. But when you beat a dude like Ferguson is legit. He's a monster. So it's gonna be a tough fight for Justin. And I'll say this: anytime you leave an organization to come to a new organization, there's some jitters gonna be involved because even though I look at shit for what it's worth, the UFC is the UFC, so it's the brand itself might. It's like when people go over to Bellator and UFC fighters go over to Bellator and they think it's gonna be an easy cake, and they find that it ain't no easy cake. You lose real quick because it's just new for you. So I'm gonna take Michael Johnson.
All right.
I'm gonna take Michael Johnson in that fight. I think he's a veteran, and I think Justin is gonna. If Justin wins, hey, hats off to him. But I'm just taking the dude that has done it in the UFC, with that type of environment with their elite fighters.
Right. And the next night is UFC 213, headlined by the Women's Bantamweight Championship bout between the champion, Amanda Nunes, versus the number one contender, Valentina Shevchenko. What's your thoughts about this one?
I kind of want to see old girl win.
Shevchenko?
I want to see her win. Don't get me wrong. I respect Nunes as far as champion and beat Ronda Rousey, and
Yeah.
but I was never really impressed with Ronda Rousey. So you just did what I had always said could have been done. You just were the one. Well, you weren't the first one to do it, but you ran. You caught her at the right time, especially after Ronda losing the way she lost to Holly Holm. You caught like timing was everything. So yeah, you can't take a victory away from her, but she is a proud lesbian, proud, gay fighter. I don't see anything wrong with her personal lifestyle because I don't watch her personal lifestyle. I watch her because she's a fighter. But in today's day and age, it's super sad when you don't see the promotion get behind her, and you wonder if that's the reason why.
Right.
Because she's literally gotten no press. She hasn't gotten, when you go back to when Ronda Rousey was fighting, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing the Ronda Rousey ad. Here it is. This is the UFC champion, in the 135-pound division, and you don't even know that she's fighting this weekend, man. That's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, and it's finally
Pretty
for the first time, like this past week is the first time, and anytime I see like sort of videos for 213 on Twitter or Facebook, this is the first time that you're actually seeing footage of her beating the brakes off of Ronda Rousey. Like that was not a luxury that Holly Holm got for any of her fights. To see the footage of her beating Ronda Rousey in the hype for her fights. Like, it wasn't until this past week, whatever changed, I don't know if it was just like UFC was like, okay, Ronda Rousey's finally in the past, so we'll finally let the people who beat Ronda Rousey, have that footage a part of the promotion for their fights. But up until like maybe a week ago, you never saw any of that footage as a part of their promotional packages.
Yeah, real shit. It's pretty sickening, man. Pretty sickening, man. I don't like. I just don't think that's right. I don't think it's right. And again, I'm not accusing the UFC, but I haven't seen anything that will make me really think different about what I've said. So, good luck to her in her fight this weekend. If she wins, good for her, but I bet you if that belt comes off of her, we'll have a different outlook on UFC. UFC will be promoting that new chick, and she got good hands. I like her striking.
Right. And the thing is with her past couple of fights that she's brought out other weapons. Like she beat Juliana Pena, with an armbar submission. That was something you never saw from Shevchenko before. She was, mainly a striker. So it seems like she's bringing out more weapons with each fight over the past couple fights. So, I think that, Shevchenko definitely has a good chance of, winning this fight. So I think, she's a lot more deadlier than the last time that she went against Amanda Nunes and lost back in at UFC 196. So I think this is going to be a different fight than the last time.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm picking her to win, man. I'm picking her to win. I just think it might be her time right now, man. The time is everything. I'm looking at. I'm seeing articles that Amanda's talking about having kids, and yeah, it just UFC don't. Just in my opinion, I don't think they, I think they thought that Ronda was gonna run straight through her, and it didn't happen like that. So let's see what's gonna happen. Let's see what's gonna happen. But I bet you, if pronounce the old girl name again. Her
Shevchenko.
last name, I don't want to fuck it up. Say it
Shevchenko.
again.
Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah. I'll call her Valentina. Valentina. She wins. They'll promote her differently because she's kind of hot. And
I want to see her do
it.
And I want to see her do her victory dance again.
Yes. Yes. So I'm taking her. And I never go against American Top Team people, but I just think it's a lot of shit going on with the 135 division, man, since Ronda ain't been there, man. Like, where is the snap, crackle, and pop at? Where is the excitement at, man? Let's see what's gonna happen on Sunday, but I'm picking the challenger.
Word up. All right, that's about it for this week's Fresh is the Word podcast. Vstylez, tell them where they can find you online.
You can find your man at Vstylez. That's / the VSTYLEZ on Instagram, Twitter, and my regular page on Facebook. You can hit me at my verified page on Facebook at official Vstylez. That's common spelling of official. Vstylez with the VSTYLEZ. Hit me up. Let's chop it up, man. If there's anything you wanna holler at me about, I'm here. Kill the ignorance. That's what I'm all about. You come at me wrong, I'm gonna give it to you.
Yes. Thanks for listening. Goodbye and good night.
Salute and peace.
Fresh is the word.